And tonight on the Daily Wrap, a small town in Oregon rocked today after a shooter opened fire on a college campus, killing at least 10 and injuring at least 20. We'll have the latest on the shooting in Oregon for you. The Secret Service now targeting Congressman Jason Chaffetz for his investigation into the agency's recent scandals. Did they go too far? And is Iran becoming a dominant power? This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host Rick Unger on yet another sad day. I don't even know how to react to these things at this point.
You know what? I think we have to be honest and say that we don't react at all like we used to. We all say the same thing, what a tragedy, and everybody agrees it's a tragedy, and nothing's going to change. We'll have the same conversations until the next one happens.
And we'll be having some conversations about it certainly tonight as well. To Mr. Unger's right, he's a former FBI special agent, a former Navy SEAL, and a current president of Continued Services. Jonathan Gilliam is here. And finally, he's a former Navy SEAL and the president of the Citizen League, Carl Higbee, back as well. All right, let's get right to the Daily Download.
Well, at first I heard it sound like fireworks, and then I kept seeing police officer after police officer going down the road with sirens, and I was thinking, they kept coming and kept coming, and I was thinking, what is going on? So I walked up on the road and walked up to the college and talked to people there, and they kept them away from us for a while. One girl came out wrapped in a blanket with blood on her, and they said they weren't transporting any of the dead till the campus was clear, but 7 ambulances left with sirens and lights.
And as you've heard, today a gunman opened fire at an Oregon community college. Although information is still limited, we're hearing reports that at least 10 people are dead, 20 more are injured. And that's at a community college in Rosenberg, Oregon, which is about 150 miles from Portland, Oregon. It's also being reported that the shooter is now dead. Eyewitnesses Lori Andrews explains what she saw to the Associated Press. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a stop from the governor. Let's get that right now. Kate Brown, Oregon governor.
And Americans in profound dismay and heartbreak at this tragedy at Umpqua Community College. Facts are still emerging. We know now there were casualties and confirmed injuries. Our top priority now is the medical treatment for victims and the security of the campus. We have confirmation that the shooter is deceased. He is a 20-year-old male. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families.
Oregon State Police Chief, that is Rich Evans, describes what we currently know.
The first 911 calls came in the Roseburg area at 10:38 this morning. All law enforcement in the area responded immediately to the campus. The active shooter was engaged by law enforcement and later confirmed to be deceased. Our number one priority right now is to make sure that the scene is secure and the victims are treated, and making sure that we have a complete crime scene, and that we continue to make sure that there are no additional threats.
Now, Rick, this is where things get tricky for guys like us, because this is a tragedy. We'd like to mourn, obviously, the victims, their families. Can you imagine you send your kid to off to college, or even maybe community colleges, a lot of them are suitcase schools. You go right from home to there, and then they're not coming home.
And actually, in this case, it's not even that, because the average age is just under 38 years old of the students there. So it's a lot of adult education going on there.
Okay, good research there. Yet we have to analyze it, unfortunately, and we have to talk about gun control, and because it was already brought up by Josh Earnest, the White House press secretary, so I hate to say it's fair game, but here's the thing, it happened in a gun-free zone.
Not only a gun-free zone, but as my friend Jonathan here just pointed out to me, and he'll get into it much deeper, I'm sure, apparently Oregon has very strict gun laws.
Yep. To get a concealed weapons permit.
There you go. So you have that right there. Look, we have to be honest about this, and you've heard me say it time and time again. I don't care if you have a strong support for guns, or if you're somebody who wants to get rid of all guns. Folks, you could outlaw guns tomorrow morning, every one of them, and guess what? There's 300 million guns out there. They aren't going anywhere. What's more, it is true when people say that the guns that are in the hands of the responsible people are usually the ones that are properly regulated and licensed. It's the bad guys who don't always get those guns who tend to cause the problem. So I don't know what the solution is. It's going to take somebody far smarter than me to work it out. I do know, though, that this argument we have on a loop that we have every time something like this happens is going to get us nowhere. It hasn't so far. It's not going to.
Carl.
Yeah, well, let's look at what happened in Sandy Hook. That guy, they put, Connecticut passed a massive 1160 bill that basically banned assault rifles without a registration. And 68% of Connecticut people who own assault rifles did not comply, turning 68% into felons. We are class felons. I had to move my guns out of the state. And now, what has happened since then? That's 68% of people that did not register their guns that are now technically felons. We still haven't committed any crimes. The fact is, law-abiding gun owners are not going to commit crimes, and that's the only ones that these laws hurt. That we have to examine the issue here. It's like maybe, maybe we should make murder more illegal.
I do hear you, but I just want to suggest this to people watching, and I'm not disputing your argument at all. I'm really not. I'm only saying we're going to have the same discussion we always have.
Right.
It will accomplish nothing. We need, and it's not about who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
You make sense when you say that.
Don't make
you
people
make
fat,
sense with
guns
your
don't kill
arguments.
people.
You do. I may not like guns as much as you
Right.
guys, but guess what? You're making intelligent arguments. So we got to find another way of approaching this. If we keep having the same discussion
Right.
over and over again to no resolution, and there's not going to be one if we go at it this way,
Right.
this keeps happening. Folks, we need smarter people to look for smarter solutions than just this argument.
Jonathan, sometimes, it is cliche, I hate to say it, but the only way you stop a guy with a gun is a guy with a gun, right? And do we need more security on college campuses? Do we need armed security on college campuses? Because this was a gun-free zone. So basically, this guy goes in there and says, yeah, I really don't care about that rule.
Right.
And maybe, in other words, let me ask you this. Do you think that he may have targeted this particular school because there is that lax law in place?
I mean, we can't.
don't
say,
know,
right?
but-
We don't know, but I can say that he definitely chose a target that was right for him and was soft, so that he could go in there. I mean, look, Vassar College is a university here in New York, and just upstate a little bit. They have security guards that are not armed, and it's a gun-free zone, so people can't carry a concealed weapon. Rick, I'm absolutely pleased that you're saying what you do, and you have said this before, because here's the reality. You don't have to be the smartest gun person in the world to know that an effective solution is not being sought after every one of these shootings. We just had the same discussion. Right. So the reality is we have to start looking at effective solutions. We talk about the war with Islam. We talk about these shootings that keep happening, the economy, all these things. There's never an effective solution to any of these things. And I think this is one of the simplest things that we could actually confront with effective solutions.
We only got a couple of minutes left in this segment.
Can
I want to switch gears for a moment.
So people are clear.
Sure, go ahead.
Until we know more about this shooter, we don't know if the gun-free zone thing plays into it or not.
Right. Sure.
We just don't know.
Well, definitely plays in the part of the ability to stop it quickly.
Yeah. Right. So the Oregonian, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Oregon Live online says the shooter at this community college asked people to state their religion and then started firing. This is according to an eyewitness who spoke to them, an 18-year-old that was there at the time. So my question is this, and this is without trying to sound politically incorrect in any way, shape, or form. Besides if you're a radical Muslim, who asked that question before they start firing?
That's a dangerous comment.
Well, that's dangerous, but it's true, man.
I'm not going there, because until somebody tells me what somebody was, I'm not going to ask that or answer that question.
What you can say, though, Rick, is that if that was actually the case and that really happened, then it doesn't really matter what religion, you can classify this as terrorism.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just don't want to go to, we don't know anything yet.
I know, but that's an odd question to ask before you start firing at people.
Back to Rick's point about moving the gun debate further down the line, we can sit here, this is not about guns, this is about crazy people. Spoons don't make people fat. Right. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Anything to add, Jonathan?
I hear that.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to stop somebody who's killing is somebody who's willing to defend and eliminate that threat. Right. And you can't do that, I mean, 20 people could do it together, but the reality is a gun is going to do it very fast and very effectively.
Okay, well, we'll have to end it there. Share your thoughts on the Oregon shooting by going to newsmaxtv.com/comments. That's newsmaxtv.com/comments. Coming up next, we're going to talk more about the shooting. A lot of facts coming in. We'll relay them on to you. Stay right there.